Ui, dann doch. Ik kan de snots naar bijzetten.
Second row, well done. voor jou dat.
Ah.
minutes remaining.
As we are here now for round 12 of the PCDC Managers League with Ayrton Senna on pole, Alain Prost in second, Matsumoto in third, Fittipaldi in fourth. We wait for the lights, yes, and we are go. Ayrton Senna with a good launch, heading towards turn one. It's a long run towards Variante de Retefilio. And Senna takes the lead, or remains in the lead, I should say. And there's, oh, big kerfuffle there in the back. I think it's Emerson Fittipaldi getting tagged up there by some of the other cars. And there's a big pile up now as more cars are looking to get going. And now it's the two Ferraris at the back of the field, unfortunately. So they've had a bad run as they got tagged by some of the slower cars. But now Ayrton Senna leads from Alain Prost. And Keiji Matsumoto right behind. Then comes Mario Andretti, then Danny Sullivan. We'll see now as Prost is gonna try and line up a move as we head to Ascari, down Curva della Seraglio. Ooh, and they nearly touched there as Alain Prost swerves a little bit there with the rear out, and now he's vulnerable to Keiji Matsumoto. The Minardi with extreme top line speed definitely is going to get past the McLaren here. So Matsumoto doing a good job. You can see Mario Andretti there in the back as well. And let's take a bit further look back. There's the second McLaren of Danny Sullivan. Then we have Roberto Moreno in the arrows with his teammate Stefan Johansson not too far back. Then comes Al Unser Jr., so one of the Tyrrells, very good. One of the Tyrrells comes in, and now there's a pit call for Teo Fabi. So what has happened to Fabi? Oh, there was a collision with, I think that must have been Kazuyoshi Hoshino. So more bad luck for Ferrari as Fabi has to come in for a new front wing, but obviously he's still going. So, oh, and something big happened. Alain Prost now with a mistake. And maybe he got hit off the track, but Alain Prost, I don't know if he's gonna be able to get out of the sand pit here, or the gravel pit. Let's see. He's trying, but that McLaren isn't moving. And that is a disaster now. Second retirement in 2 races for Alain Prost. As Ayrton Senna now goes into the lead and has a sizable lead to the rest of the field. And in the meanwhile, Bernd Schneider has also dropped out of the race. So a lot occurring here. We have Teo Fabi at the back of the field for Ferrari. So is Hoshino for Ligier. The meanwhile, we have some of the runners in the slower cars building up a bit of a lead. Now we have Jeff Lees and his teammate Eddie Irvine going side by side into Ascari. They make it out unscathed, but the Williams ideally don't want to be fighting each other too much. And we now have also Mika Hakkinen now in 8th place. So the Finnish driver stepping up to the plate here today, and Ligier looking strong with Al Unser Jr. now for Tyrrell, trying a move on the straightaway. See now, so Al Unser Jr. does get the overtake done, I think, just before the chicanes here, and yes, he does. So very nicely done by Al Unser Jr. And so Mika Hakkinen will follow Unser down the first straight, or Curva Grande, which is technically a corner, but cars very much go flat out there, as now there's a Zach Speed of Thierry Boutsen in a very nice 10th place. At the moment under attack by Nigel Mansell and Eddie Cheever, both of the March cars. They are heading now in Curva de Lesmo. See Boutsen just leading a train there with Emerson Fittipaldi on the back of that train. So Fittipaldi looking for a way to get through after a bad start. Here Fittipaldi down on the straightaway. Will he pull a move here on Michael Andretti? Yes, he does. Let's see, they go side by side, and Andretti has to concede the corner. Bit of a slowdown there during Ascari. Now we will take a look at Fittipaldi here, down at the Filio Centro, and then into Parabolica, of course. But that Zach Speed has some good speed, and actually Michael Andretti trying to get back at the Ferrari, but doesn't quite manage. And Now Fittipaldi has to fight his way back through the field. So a bit of a calamity for McLaren in this round, and as well as the last round, as we now have Boutsen trying to hold on from Fittipaldi. Let's take a bit of a further look up again. So Alonso Jr. in a nice 8th spot. Tyrrell, in a lot of occasions, have been flirting with that best of the rest kind of position just outside of the points. They've scored points on a couple of occasions, with the first round actually having a surprise podium for Tyrrell. But they have gone scoreless in the last 2 rounds. So with a bit of luck here, Tyrrell can pick up another couple points here today. Actually, Mika Hakkinen, it's been a long time since we've seen him in such a lofty position, so definitely good for them. And let's now see Stefan Johansson still trying to latch on to the back of his teammate Johansson, and let's hope both of the arrows don't clash, because that has happened before. Meanwhile, we do have Danny Sullivan for McLaren in 4th position, so Sullivan definitely picking up the pace here a little bit, it seems, in this second half of the season. Of course, we know McLaren did struggle at the start of the season. They had, I believe it was David Brabham driving that second car in the first half of the season, and that completely didn't work out for McLaren. And now Danny Sullivan is, well, not the equal to Alain Prost, but definitely is doing what a second driver should do. Should be solidly inside the points and helping McLaren towards that Constructor Championship. That being said, with that last round, McLaren only has a 6-point lead over Ferrari, and both of the Ferraris still in the race, of course. But Sullivan moving up into 3rd place before Ascari, and then very aggressively takes the line there. And it's going to be hard here to get away from Nakajima. Of course, that Lotus very good in a straight line as well. We meanwhile now have Mario Andretti in 2nd place, and I'm just trying to see what happened to Keiji Matsumoto. Matsumoto down in 14th, so something must have happened to him as well, which made him out, but we'll see now. Danny Sullivan, he will get overtaken here by Nakajima, I think, on a straight. So these two might be swapping positions here for a good while to come as they go into the chicane. Sullivan does manage to stay ahead, but seems like that Lotus just has a little bit more in the corners over the McLaren. We have both of the arrows inside the points for now. On lap 6, Nelson Piquet just outside of the points. Then comes Unser Jr., who's actually pulling a bit of a gap to Mika Hakkinen, so very nicely done. Hakkinen now dropping back a bit. We're just looking at Fittipaldi here now as well. Fittipaldi trying his best to move up some positions, but Eddie Cheever now in the march defending from that Ferrari, so Cheever not making it too easy for the veteran, one of the veterans of the league, Emerson Fittipaldi. There was talks about his retirement before this season, but I think a drive at Ferrari definitely enticed him to dust off that racing helmet one last time. But yeah, we were not quite sure if he will continue after this season. Getting towards that 50, at age 50, so but I think he's definitely proven, even though he doesn't have that sharpness of one of the top contenders like Senna or Prost when it comes to pure all-out pace. His veterancy is definitely showing, and he's brought that Ferrari home whenever he's had the opportunity to, so He now goes on and gets that move done on Eddie Cheever, I believe, as they head into that first chicane. Yes, he does. And now it should be smooth sailing from here. Maybe Cheever can get a little bit of a slipstream and keep going, but should see Fittipaldi creating a lot of a difference now. And meanwhile, Jeff Lees has also dropped out. And we still have Fabi in that second Ferrari on the hunt. He's now only 5 seconds off of the rear of the field. Meanwhile, Matsumoto having a bad day now in 18th. So Matsumoto making a couple of mistakes, but should definitely have pace to climb back up the field. But already 7 laps in, of course, the race here at Monza run at very high speeds. The laps go by pretty quickly. And Senna now about 3.8 seconds clear of Mario Andretti. Oh, and a big fight here as we go into Parabolica. We have Danny Sullivan in 3rd. Stefan Johansson now in 4th. With Moreno right behind. And then we have Satoru Nakajima. So all fighting for that podium position. And Johansson now, 4 arrows, is trying his best to get past Sullivan, and obviously a bit of a fight here between Nakajima and Moreno. There comes Nelson Piquet as well. If he is able to latch onto the back of these guys, that would be great for him. Oh, and a bit of a mistake as I say that. Nelson Piquet runs wide, manages to keep his car unscathed, but a bit of a dangerous situation there. And Moreno now still right onto the back of Nakajima. But I do want to keep an eye here on Johansson. He's definitely pushing hard here today. And a bit of a surprise to see the arrows up in the mix with McLaren and Lotus. They are at the pace. Obviously, we did know that that the arrows were found using a highly toxic fuel. And ooh, actually, Danny Sullivan running wide there. And I'm not sure if he was run off by the Arrows car, but it didn't look like it. It just seemed like a bit of a driver error on Sullivan's part. And let's hope he can get the car going again. Oh no, I think it's actually... it might be stuck. And is that going to be the second DNF in a row? McLaren has been going through the season pretty much perfectly, but now the kinks in the armor are starting to show, and yes, that will be a retirement for Danny Sullivan, so both of the McLarens out again. And this is a great chance for some of the other teams to pick up some points. First will obviously be Ferrari. They'll be looking to capitalize, but they have a long way to go in this race to make it up into those points-paying positions. And obviously then we have the likes of Lotus, Minardi, Ligier that are all looking to connect up with that second place of Ferrari, and they're all in a fight with each other. We have Minardi on 36 points, Ligier 32, and Lotus 31, so they're definitely looking to capitalize. And then we have Arrows with 18 points. So let's say if they can get a couple nice finishes in a row here, they're right into that fight for the best of the rest. As we've seen this season, there's a clear difference between McLaren and Ferrari. McLaren, Ferrari, and then the rest of the field. But let's see here, as Nelson Piquet now actually making the move on Nakajima. Nakajima maybe making a mistake. But Piquet now in 4th. So very nicely done, as we have Nakajima still running in 5th, and Al Unser Jr. actually. Al Unser Jr. now in 6th position for Tyrrell. So let's hope here for Unser Jr. that he can latch onto the back of the Lotus in front of him. That would increase his speed by quite a bit. Fittipaldi now in 7th place with Mika Hakkinen right behind. And let's see actually, because Moreno actually had an incident in Ascari and is stuck on the curb. So 10 laps in, it's been quite eventful as 5 cars have retired. Let's hope we don't see much more of that, but it does mean for the likes of Lotus and Minardi doing a very good job here. Also, Arrows can still score big here today. Now we see the groups are splitting up a little bit, and I just want to take a look at Fabi here. He's been struggling to make up time to the cars in front, and let's actually take a look at some of the last lap times. So Fabi of 40.6, so he must have made a mistake somewhere. And then we would get Senna with a 36.9, Andretti with a gonna be a 37.4. So yeah, Senna in a league of his own today here, definitely with the McLarens not being there. And Fabi making up time to that Benetton of René Arnoux. And looking at Nelson Piquet, Arnoux should definitely, he should be doing better than he is at the moment here at the back of the field. Senna still in control. So quite a bit of mistakes happening throughout the field, and made for a very interesting grid as we see Mario Andretti trying to somewhat chase down Ayrton Senna, but unless something happens to Senna reliability-wise, that's not really going to happen, I believe. See, now we do have Emerson Fittipaldi now coming through into 6th place on Al Unser Jr. So he gets the move done before Parabolica. Let's see if Unser can latch onto the back of that Ferrari. Maybe get a little bit of a tow. Yes, he can. Now we see Fittipaldi storming through the field. And he could see himself up into 3rd position pretty rapidly over the next few laps, as he's immediately created distance between him and Unser. And now his next target will be Satoru Nakajima. And my guess is that he'll be catching up to the back of Nakajima at the end of this lap. Might be getting a good run onto the main straight. And this could really make the fight between McLaren and Ferrari a big one towards the end of the season here. McLaren with 2 really poor results means that Ferrari is right in that championship fight again. Maybe not for the Drivers' Championship, but they both get point finishes, or if Fittipaldi finishes in 1st, then he actually can overtake McLaren. If he finishes in 2nd, they might draw even with McLaren, but then obviously McLaren will go into the lead Well, McLaren will still have the lead, I think, if Ferrari comes second, because McLaren has more race wins, so... Definitely getting very interesting here towards the end of the season. Ollie now getting closer as they go through Variante del Roggia, I think it is. Now into Curva di Lesmo. Now Fittipaldi right onto the back of that Lotus car and onto Curva del Teraglio. Fittipaldi now draws alongside. Does he have enough straight line speed? No, he backs out of it, so thinks better of that move. Let's see if he tries to line it up more. Coming out of Ascari. Does get a good run now, is on the inside, has quite a bit of overspeed, and I think that is move done. Yes, it is. Up into 5th position now. Meanwhile, Teo Fabi is also in 15th now, slowly making his way up, but Nakajima now not ready to give up this fight. And he draws alongside the Ferrari. And they go side by side into the first chicane. Fittipaldi will come out on top, and that slows down Nakajima quite a bit. That'll be just enough space for Fittipaldi, I think. Now, if there's any other fights going on, I think Hakkinen is still trying to lash onto the back of Nigel Mansell. Let's take a look at their last laps. The last time for Mika Hakkinen was a 42.1, with Nigel Mansell being a 42.2, but I think their true lap times are a bit faster. They might have been battling a little bit throughout that lap. I think Hakkinen definitely looks a bit faster here, and the Ligier should be the faster car compared to the March. Obviously, he does have the very experienced Nigel Mansell in front of him, who has been racing for long enough to have some tricks up his sleeve. Now we have Emerson Fittipaldi still trying this move on Nelson Piquet. They go side by side, and Piquet gives up that corner. Will now try to latch onto the back of that Ferrari. This is actually good for the Benetton. Ideally, I don't think he would want to... Ooh. It's a pit call. Okay, yes, so we are expecting 2 pit stops here today. And the first of those are now coming in, so we see Emerson Fittipaldi, Nelson Piquet, and Stefan Johansson coming in. So Fittipaldi may be getting a little bit of an undercut on his peers, being Mario Andretti and Ayrton Senna. Also, of course, Fittipaldi still being 30 seconds behind. Won't matter too much, but at least he might be able to gain a little bit of time on those in front of him. Oh, and now issues for Teo Fabi. Teo Fabi reporting electrical issues, and that has happened just as he came through Variante de Rettifilo. And let's follow him throughout the lap to see how that goes. He is in the pit window, though, so shouldn't be too much of a problem for Fabi. But the question being, of course, can he make it to the pits? Oh, and he's slowing now. He's slowing. He's not going to make it back to the pits, so that's one of the Ferraris out of the race. Oh, and Mario Andretti now. Andretti is out of the race, I think. So we can't get him up on the screen, but Andretti with transmission failure is reported. And now see some of the cars making their pit stop. It's an arrows of Johansson, Piquet in the Benetton, and Fittipaldi in the Ferrari. So one of the Minardi is now out of the race. This does make it very interesting for some of the other teams with a lot of the big runners, or some of the runners that were expected to do really well, out of the race now. It's gonna be a good opportunity here for one of the lower teams, or the generally slower teams, to pick up a point here or there, as more pit stop calls are coming in. You see a lot of the pit crews making ready on the pit wall, bringing out tires. And the top 5 still has to make their pit stop. We'll see how that plays out. And obviously Ayrton Senna still running fine in that first position, but I'm guessing we'll see him hitting anytime soon. Doing good so far, and Nakajima running in a comfortable second position. Oh, and now Stefan Johansson. Stefan Johansson goes into the barrier with a puncture, so Johansson losing control as he goes through Ascari. He goes into the barrier with a tire puncture. So that is both of the arrows out once again. And a bit of a shame here, because they could have capitalized in this race, but reliability playing a big part again. And unfortunately that second arrows will now also be out of the race. And 1988 really has been a battle of attrition. Yeah, the cars are incredibly fast, and it's the top flight of engineering, but it is still a massive fight in all these changing times, with more electrics coming onto the car, engines getting more complicated, just lots of changes going on. It's pretty difficult for all the engineers to keep up with that. And now, as I say that, Michael Andretti, smoke billowing out of the back of the second Tyrrell car, and fire now with Michael Andretti as Eddie Irvine goes through. Eddie Irvine actually doing very respectable in that, well, honestly, that back marker. Williams, still hard to believe that Williams won that championship last year and now is struggling to even score points. But yeah, the engine cuts out there. Andretti will park it up, and that will be the end of his race. Very unfortunate for Tyrrell. And now here comes Keiji Matsumoto. The second Minardi is now almost, well, trying to latch onto the back of the field, but René Arnoux is still quite a ways up. And other pit calls coming in now. Ayrton Senna will pit from the lead, and he will obviously still remain in the lead. Matsumoto will be on the lead lap again once Senna goes into the pits. And then we have a whole lot of shuffling going on. We have to kind of see how that plays out. I think Mika Hakkinen will go back into 7th place, 6th place maybe. And Fittipaldi still has Nelson Piquet onto the back of him, and Fittipaldi actually not quite sure what's happening here. Oh, of course he made that pit stop at the start, I believe, but he has to come in again. Don't see any damage, so I think it's a planned pit stop. Now, there is multiple cars now that are ready to get their planned pit stops out of the way. Mika Hakkinen being one of those. As apparently Fittipaldi is going to come into the pits again. Let's see here, does he pull to the side? Yes, he does. lot of extra pit stops going on here. Not quite sure what is the issue here, but at least all the cars are making that second pit stop. So that keeps it fair, I guess. Now we have Mika Hakkinen running in third. Toru Nakajima still has to come into the pits. And Senna now gets another pit call, so yeah. Something strange going on with the pit strategies here today, but at least all the cars are going for that second pit stop, so that shouldn't be an issue when it comes to the end race result. So yeah, everything should filter out again like it was before before this whole weirdness with the pit stops. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is going on with the pit stops here. I just want to make sure that no one is making extra pit stops if they're not supposed to. But Senna coming in for a second one. Mika Hakkinen as well. So we're just waiting for Nakajima to make his pit stop. That'll probably be on the next lap. But again, that it should filter out to be very similar as Senna now makes a second pit stop. The lead should be somewhat retained. So yeah, there's Nakajima in the background. And this should equal it out now when Mika Hakkinen and Nakajima pit once again. We have Emerson Fittipaldi in fourth. Then comes Nelson Piquet, then Eddie Cheever for March, who still has to make a pit stop, and then Al Unser Jr. So I think if we look at net positions, I think Al Unser Jr. is gonna be... Oh god. Have I said there's a puncture for Al Unser Jr.? Can he get to the pits?
Try and get back.
He's rolling. Oh no, he has to pull off. So Unser Jr. with a puncture. And he has to pull off to the side, so that's one of the Tyrrells. Is that both Tyrrells out? I think it is. Michael Andretti has also suffered an issue. And Fittipaldi now in third, Nelson Piquet in fourth, Hakkinen in fifth as he's come out of the pits, and Hashino in sixth. So both of the Ligiers in a points running position, or points paying position. Meanwhile, we have Arnoux running in 8th, Irvine in 9th, Cheever in 10th, and Matsumoto in 11th. But actually, let's take a look at the lap times here. I'm eager to see. Yeah, so Matsumoto is running quite slow here today. Not quite sure what the issue might be for him. But is trying his best to catch up to the back of Cheever and Irvine, respectively. And now with all the pit stops finally done, for some reason there was 2. Nakajima now in 3rd and Fittipaldi in 2nd. We'll see now Nakajima, couple laps fresher tires. Let's see if we can bring the fight to that Ferrari, and it's a Lotus 1 and 3. And then Benetton in 4th, and then the 2 Ligiers in 5th and 6th. And quite remarkable now, we do see Thierry Boutsen in 7th position for Zach Speed, so Boutsen definitely doing a very good job, and team owner Edison will be very happy. Obviously, we've talked about it before, but Edison came as a replacement before the start of the season, even before the first race. He replaced Senna Stoffmehl as a team manager, and I'll keep mentioning it, but there was some foul play in that, surely, from the from Domi and Eddie, the brothers. There was surely some foul play at hand there, but he's actually been doing very well with the team he received, as it wasn't looking as a very strong outfit for the start of the season, but Zach Speed have actually scored points on a couple of occasions, and even though we expected them to hover around that last place, they have a nice 8 points to their name, so definitely grabbed some good points here and there, and well, if the race keeps going like this, there's only a little bit of luck needed for Zach Speed here, and they might be able to grab another point here with a bit of misfortune for another team. Meanwhile, now we have Ayrton Senna in a league of his own, helped by some misfortune of the other front runners. He's a good 35 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. And with this result, he could actually put himself in the 3rd spot in the Drivers' Championship. And, well, for Lotus, 9 points could mean jumping up from 5th in the Constructors to 3rd. So, definitely something they'd be looking for. Lotus was actually tipped to be one of the championship challenging teams here. They haven't quite been able to live up to the standards of McLaren or Ferrari, but they're definitely picking up the slack here a little bit in the second half. That could also be because of the new manager, Cove Lotus, breathing some new life in the team. It was a bit troublesome in the first half of the season with the other manager, Whippy Whip. But Senna now coming to his own. Obviously, still quite a distance to go for Lotus, and both of their cars at the moment in very nice positions to grab a good amount of points. And well, obviously, if Nakajima could also score big here today, that would mean quite a big deal here, as that put Lotus up to, I think, 44 points. If Nakajima finishes in the position he is in now. And that wouldn't put them too far away from the likes of McLaren or Ferrari. And obviously we still have Fittipaldi in a point scoring position. Oh, and not sure why it's switched to this place. But Nelson Piquet now still running in 4th. And doing a great job in the Benetton. Another team that has picked up the pace a little bit with control of the new manager. And I think the Marshalls are somewhat struggling getting these cars away from the track, which is why we're seeing the camera that keeps switching over to it. Hopefully they get it sorted at some point. And I think Mika Hakkinen is now being chased down by his teammate. Let's see as they come across the line here what their lap times are going to be comparatively. So Mika Hakkinen will come across the line 39.7 and a 38.3. So yeah, about 1.5 seconds or 1.4 seconds of a time difference between the teammates there. So Hoshino will definitely be catching up to his teammate. But obviously Mika Hakkinen still doing a very respectable job. And definitely one of the youngest drivers on the grid. And he's played his part for Lige. Definitely gotten a good few results. He got a podium position in the second race of the season, and I think Lige actually got a second place and third place in that one. For the rest of the season, it's mainly been Hoshino picking up the points. I think Hakkinen has been scoreless for the past 5 rounds, but this round could see some change in that department. But as a rookie, has definitely come out pretty strong, and I'm sure we'll see more of him in the coming years. And I'm sure with this first experience, he'll be getting faster over the next couple of seasons. And oh no, loose wheel reported. We see some movement on one of the wheels there for the Lotus, and does that mean a retirement? Yes, no, he's still going, Nakajima. But once again, it has happened at the start of the lap. If this happens towards the end of the lap, he might be able to get into the pits, but looking at it now, it might be very unlikely that he gets back to the pit, which wouldn't be good for Lotus. Obviously, we do know Lotus have been struggling with reliability, although this seems more like a maybe a pit crew error, as Nelson Piquet is trying to get past, and he will get past into 3rd place for the Benetton. And yeah, Nakajima now really slow. Still going. Oh, it seems like he's slowing down. So that might be one of the Lotus cars out. And yes, there come the 2 Ligiers, and that will be Nakajima pulling to the side of the track. Now we have Hoshino and Hakkinen coming through, with Hoshino very close on the back of his teammate now. I think down this next straightaway we'll see Hoshino making his move. And it shouldn't be too much of a hassle between the 2 drivers. Very good exit there for Hoshino, and now he pulls alongside of his teammate. Should be a fairly easy move. I'm sure he'll get it done before the chicane. Yes, he does. Ooh, but Hakkinen not ready to give up that position, and Hoshino actually running a bit wide. Hakkinen having to cut the course a little bit. So a bit of a squabbling between the Ligier teammates. And Hoshino will try again here as they come through Curva Grande. Now up on the inside into the 2nd chicane, and yes, he does pull off that move, and Hakkinen now slots in behind. Hoshino up into 4th, and that actually means now the Zach Speed is in a points position. So Zach Speed looking at a single point here, which would put them only 1 point away from Tyrrell, which are probably their nearest rivals. And yeah, definitely has a very good chance of scoring points here. You can see Rene Arnoux in the background there. You can also see Eddie Cheever, Eddie Irvine, and Keiji Matsumoto. Matsumoto still trying to make up time as he's finally now latched on to the back of the field. And he's getting close to Eddie Irvine, who's in that quite slow Williams. Williams slow on the straight, but we'll take a look at the speed difference here now between Minardi and Williams. Minardi, one of the most powerful cars. Williams, one of the least powerful ones. See it here now. Ooh! And actually contact there. Contact between the Minardi and the Williams. Let's see. Eddie Irvine does keep going, so not too bad there. And Senna now coming up to lap Irvine and Matsumoto in a couple of lap times here. Yeah, that was a bit of a shame for Irvine and Matsumoto. I don't think it was necessarily anything that was intentional, but it just kind of looked like they locked wheels there for a second. Bashed wheels a little bit. And while we now have Eddie Cheever trying to get fighting with Rene Arnoux for that 7th spot. I think at this point they also realized that it only takes one car in front of them to drop out to be inside those points paying positions. We're now getting a good amount of slipstream. The Benetton going defensive of Arnoux. And for Benetton it would be, well, Arnoux has only had 1 point scoring race this season. And he's been dry since the last, 8 races? Achiever now coming through past Arnoux. Arnoux will surely come back at him. In the slipstream, he pulls out alongside, but does the Benetton have enough power? I don't think it does. Arnoux will have to pull inside of that slipstream again. Maybe he can get a good run into the chicane. No, the Benetton just doesn't seem to have it. And ooh, actually hits the back of Cheever there. And Cheever can keep it going somewhat. Let's see now as some of the cars come through. Cheever is still going. I think he manages to get his car unstuck, but it might be a Rene Arnoux out of the race. Yeah, Cheever will keep going. Arnoux will unfortunately be out of the race with 21 laps to go. And yeah, a lot of retirements here. People getting stuck in the gravel traps, which I think is a bit of an issue with the cars of this year, 1988. I think for next season, the governing body has been told that the floors are causing some issues of getting stuck in the gravel traps when cars really shouldn't be getting stuck. And I think it should be solved for the 1989 season, so we should see a lot more cars surviving the race at the end, even if they make a mistake and go into one of the gravel pits. Minona Boutsen still running in that points paying position for now. And Ayrton Senna getting ready to make that move on Keiji Matsumoto. Oh, and now throttle issues for Emerson Fittipaldi, and he'll have to come in to make a pit stop. Let's hope he makes it back to the pits.
Try and get back.
Because else... Oh no, he's gonna pull off, is he? Yes, he's gonna pull off of the track. That looked a bit violent, but I think he was just trying to get into safety. And now one of the Ferraris out as well, so no points for both Ferrari and McLaren in this race. And yeah, that's really a shame, as Fittipaldi wasn't able to make it back to the pits, but that does mean Kazuyoshi Shino is now into 3rd position. Mika Hakkinen in 4th, so it would be a great day for Ligier, as I think if it finishes like this, they'll overtake Minardi in the standings. We all obviously do still have Keiji Matsumoto trying to fight his way back, but it doesn't look like he'll make up all that time with his misfortune at the start of the race. And also, that means 2 very valuable points here for Zach Speed, possibly, as they'll be able to draw even with Tyrrell, even though Tyrrell has one podium, so that will keep them ahead, even though they're equal on points. But yeah, Boutsen just doing a magnificent job with the machinery he's given. Yeah, we know the Zach Speed definitely is one of the slower cars of the field. And, well, Boutsen is just managing that very well. You obviously now also have Minardi back in the points, and I'm interested to see if Matsumoto makes it up to the back of Boutsen now, which he might actually do, but Senna is still looking for a way past. So only 8 runners remaining right now, so big attrition here at the Italian Grand Prix. I think that Minardi is, well, pulling a little bit of a gap to the Lotus on the straightaway. But now coming through the corners, you can definitely see Senna taking quite a bit more speed. Long straightaway, you'll see again the Minardi is going to start pulling a gap. That's where they're strong, so Monza a really good track for Minardi, but haven't been able to capitalize as they wanted to, I'm sure. Oh, and now you can see really in the slow stuff here how much gains. Gets a good run out of there. The Minardi bit slow on acceleration. He is also a lap down, so Matsumoto probably helping Senna there a bit. I'm sure he will now try to kind of latch on to the back of Senna, but it's going to be a hard task. Meanwhile, Boutsen still running in 5th position. Senna not too far behind. Still there, and in the meanwhile, obviously, we have the Benetton of Nelson Piquet in 2nd place. So again, could be a very big race here for Benetton, as they possibly could draw even with Arrows for 6th in the Constructors. Arrows will retain in the 6th position just because they've had a I think a 2nd place. Oh no, actually it would Benetton would be ahead because Benetton also has a 2nd place this season, but another podium added on with the Benetton squad ahead. PK just doing a good job here, and definitely Rackster will be happy seeing his team come good here in the 2nd half of the season as he's taken over. But yeah, absolutely dominant for Senna, as he's about a minute ahead of Nelson Piquet now. And here he is. Still has that Minardi that is kind of tagging along behind him. slowly catching up to the back of Boutsen, and well, looking at the rate they're catching up, I think Boutsen might have to concede this 5th place to Keiji Matsumoto for Minardi. And Minardi obviously trying to get those incredibly needed points for Minardi to remain in that 3rd position in the Constructors. So we'll just keep following Boutsen around here as Senna is now catching up. Matsumoto has kind of dropped back a little bit, so the only hope Boutsen has here is when Senna overtakes, he can latch onto the back of that Lotus and maybe gain some rhythm that way. Try to gain a little bit of lap time over Matsumoto. Let's see now as Senna is coming up behind him. Is he close enough? I don't think so. It'll probably be the next straight where the Lotus makes the difference. Yes, Senna now right onto the back of that Zach Speed. Move will surely happen here. And now Boutsen should hopefully somewhat concede before this corner. Who is very slow now on the exit, and he will instantly lose the draft, I think, of Senna. So not good for Boutsen, as Matsumoto is now in a prime position to latch onto the back of him. Have 15 laps to go. So now we can see Matsumoto getting ever closer. And it seems like it's only a matter of time here. But yeah, Boutsen, again, just doing a wonderful job with the machinery he's been given. So slightly defensive, doesn't want Matsumoto to try anything into Ascari. After Ascari is probably where it's gonna come, and yes, here it does. Matsumoto on the inside now, and I'm pretty sure the Minardi get that move done before the corner. Yes, he does, of course. Pure straight line speed, and now Boutsen should be latching on to the back of that Minardi. Tried to bring the fight to the Minardi, and I think he still has the slipstream. And he actually managed to do anything on the straightaway, not especially. Zach Speed still not too far away. Getting a bit of tow from that Minardi, but just look at how much power that Minardi has. It's pulling away even with Boutsen in that slipstream range. Boutsen trying his very best, but Matsumoto in that superior Minardi is just no match. Meanwhile, we do have Eddie Cheever from March running in 7th. And Irvine in 8th. They're still kind of in a battle together. And if there's one more retirement, they might be fighting for the points between each other. So Irvine, one of the other rookies, actually tipped to be a very promising driver here. Irvine, I think, just landed the wrong seat for this season, as the Williams, he's struggling. And managed to only score 1 point this season with the help of Jeff Lee in the car, I believe it was in round 9, so they have managed to score a point, but man, what a contrast it is to last season, where Williams was absolutely dominant. But, we do see, compared to some of the other cars, that the Williams hasn't quite evolved that much when it comes to design, and they've very much stuck with a design from past season, and well, hasn't quite worked out. Continue on now. Senna, oh, and Boutsen with a transmission issue. As we were talking about it will now be March and Williams fighting for a point. So Boutsen pulls over, and another retirement. And that's very much a shame for Zach Speed, as Boutsen was putting in an incredible performance for this round, and unfortunately hampered by reliability issues. And that does mean that the march of Eddie Cheever and Irvine as well. So Williams just in a pit, they can't get out, and Irvine will now pull over to the side of the track as his engine is already completely given up. Smoke coming out of the back of that Williams, and only 6 runners remaining. We still have 12 laps to go. So yeah, Irvine now, very much a shame. I would have liked to have seen him to fight for some points, but yeah, not to be. And it does seem that Monza is taking its toll on a lot of these cars. You know, a lot of engine issues, transmission issues, and the sorts. So very exciting track, Monza, obviously, because of the high speed, but with that high speed, with the cars being at full throttle for a lot of the lap, you can see it really takes its toll on the reliability front, and a lot of cars not able to make it to the end. But that is very positive for March, as they will guarantee a point here today. And even though that doesn't really change much for them in the constructors, it's a good financial bonus as well for the March outfit. And they'll be heading into the next upgrade round with a good amount of pockets change. Senna still running his race, more than a minute ahead of Nelson Piquet now, nearly a minute and 10. So for now, that Lotus still running very well, and oh, here's Eddie Cheever now. Eddie Cheever with an engine issue. So we were just talking about how demanding Monza is for a lot of these engines, and Cheever will now pull over, but he's grabbed a point regardless. Done enough of the race to warrant those points. And it's a shame for March, but at the same time, pretty sure Cozy will be satisfied enough that he picks up a point and will get a nice bonus to the treasury. And that means there's only 5 cars remaining for this race, which I mean, I think it's one of the fewest finishers we've seen. One of the races with the fewest finishers overall. And now it's just a matter of bringing it home, I think. You now see that Moto still trying something, but big differences now in the gaps, and Hoshino still has 10 laps to catch up to PK, so that's a fight that could develop here. Let's take a look at the last lap times. So Hoshino putting in a 39.096 with Nelson PK putting in 39.513, so about 4/10. And that actually could be a little bit of a fight towards the end here. 10 laps remaining, so with about 5 seconds between them, Hoshino gaining about half a second per lap. That could very much be a fight here for one of the last laps of the race. And it's going to be a very important fight for both Ligier and Benetton. They would both like to see some good points. But regardless, for Ligier, having both cars finish would be quite good. But we'll keep an eye on that. In the meanwhile, we'll Mika Hakkinen still doing fine, about 13 seconds behind his teammate now. Senna doing okay. Matsumoto in 5th for Minardi. That's going to be some very important points as well. And I think actually if Matsumoto finishes like this, that will be Minardi get 38 points, which will be 6 points difference between Ligier and them. But if Hoshino gets into 2nd place and Hakkinen into 4th, that might mean, well, it will mean that Ligier is able to get in 3rd spot in the constructors. So very important race here for Ligier, as they might be able to take that spot of best of the rest. Hoshino putting in a good drive, only about 3 seconds behind now. We'll keep an eye on the laps here, as PK did slow down a bit. Was about a 7/10 difference between the two. Let's see as PK comes across the line. What does the lap time say? Gonna be a 40.3 and a 38.8. So yeah, 1.5 second difference there. And I don't know if PK is starting to struggle with the tires, perhaps, or what exactly is going on. But Hoshino, 2.5 seconds behind, getting closer every lap. And even though PK has put in an extraordinary drive, the straight line speed of the Ligier is just so much better than the Benetton, and obviously that's a big factor on this track. And I think since there's nothing much else going on, I think we'll just keep focusing on Hoshino here and PK in front. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a squabble between those two. Now let's see what the gap is as they come across the line. Close to a second, I believe. 14.3, 15.6, so 1.3 seconds now. And it seems a bit inevitable that Hoshino will overtake PK. As PK just losing too much time on the straightaways. I believe it's the engine isn't doing much good for the Benetton. I think Williams are in a similar position, although Williams has the Judd engine, and that is, well, they are really down on power, and the reports are they're only making somewhere in between 610 and 620 horsepower compared to some of the top runners making, well, Minardi for one has been reported that they're making around 700 horsepower, so that's a 80 to 90 horsepower difference, which is just massive. But some of the well, you could say less extreme engines, they're producing probably anywhere between 600 and 650 to 670 horsepower, so still a big deficit for the likes of Williams. And then Benetton, they kind of slot in between the middle of those, I think. Coming now across the line. Pretty good lap there put in by PK last time around, but only about a second between the two now. And I think once Hoshino gets that extra little bit of tow from the back of that Benetton, it'll be all over. As he's now getting close enough already. And they go into the Lesmo. And they'll be heading through turn 9 into Curva del Seraglio, which is technically a corner, but, well, you can see pretty much straight. And Hoshino now coming through the Ascari. If he has a good run, he might be able to capitalize here on the slower Benetton in front of him. PK doing his best here, but I think gonna be tough for him to fight. PK still ahead, goes a bit defensive, but that means the exit for Hoshino will be better, and also already through the middle of Parabolica he will pull alongside, and you can just see the difference in straight line speed. But PK is not ready to give up quite yet. PK will pull alongside and he's ready to fight for this position, but Hoshino just pulls ahead through Variante di Rettifilo. And now on to that second straight through Curva Grande. Let's see if PK does manage to come back at the Ligier. He will pull alongside. So good overspeed there for the Benetton, and PK really pulling out his driving skills. And does go ahead now of Hoshino. So PK definitely not done fighting. And he's ready to go on a full-on charge for the second position for Benetton. So created a nice little bit of a gap here. 5 laps to go. Ascari once again, but you can see just how much that Ligier is catching up on the straightaways. Again, going a bit defensive there. PK will be in a similar scenario. One of the previous laps. Where I think, yes. You see Hoshino with quite a bit of overspeed. Will PK slot in behind? Yes, he will, and he will again move to the inside. Which turns to the outside, of course. Does still slot in behind, but is right onto the back of that Ligier. I think once again we'll have a good opportunity to try and move into the next corner. But this time around, Hoshino does get a good run out of the corner. might create enough of a gap for the Ligier to run away. I'm not quite sure. That peloton's still quite close. And I think PK just a tad faster through the corners. But it does look now. Hoshino getting a couple of good exits. And I think that fight is over, so Nelson Piquet moves into third. Or drops down into third. And that'll be the last fight of the race over, I think. Well, just taking a look here. Just to make sure we have Senna and Matsumoto. No, I don't think Matsumoto will be catching Hakkinen, so Hakkinen, if he can hold on, he can just bring this car home in 4th position. And again, it will be a 2nd place and a 4th place for Ligier, which will mean a nice chunk of money and also 8 points in the Constructors' Championship. So. Senna now coming up to the back of Hakkinen, I believe. Yes, he is, and well, what can we say about Ayrton Senna? He's definitely starting to show why he is a force to be reckoned with, and even with a car that has failed him a lot of times, he's well on his way to secure 9 valuable points for Lotus. And with that, Lotus will be put into, well, they might actually go to best of the rest with 9 points. Because I think they'll draw equal with Ligier at this rate. But obviously Lotus has had a race win, actually. Ligier has also had a race win, I forgot. Yeah, Hoshino in round 6 has managed to get a race win, so I think it'll actually be Ligier that remains at the top. I'll have to look at the podiums, but maybe Lotus has had a couple more podiums, so that might put them ahead. Anyway, it's going to be a big scrap over the 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. Well, it only takes a couple of mistakes from the front runners McLaren and Ferrari. As we've seen, McLaren now 2 DNFs in 2 races. And Ferrari then also a double DNF here today. They've had their fair share of DNFs. So yeah, it's looking ever more likely that one of these teams can actually get quite close to them in the constructors' standings. And well, for a team like Ligier, they're gonna have a nice chunk of change. Lotus now can build up quite well after 2 pretty successful races. Let's not forget Lotus got a 2nd place and a 5th place last time around, so they're coming quite good in the 2nd half of the season here. And with 4 races to go, there's still everything to play for. Before we head to 1989 and next season. But Senna now getting past Mika Hakkinen, who's done also an incredible job today, just getting that Ligier towards the end of the race. And we do see Matsumoto there in the background, but I'm afraid he's just too far away from Hakkinen to fight for that 4th position. And Senna now starting the penultimate lap. PK now dropping back a bit further from Hoshino. 3 seconds or so behind. But I think for the remainder of the race, we'll probably just follow Senna behind. And let's take a quick look at some of the fastest laps on track. Yeah, best time was set by Ayrton Senna also with a 36.3. So Senna starting on pole and well, has led the whole race. And yeah, just complete dominance by him today. Oh, and actually, big issues for Nelson Piquet. 1 lap from the end. He is gonna drop to 5th position, I believe. Because Mika Hakkinen and Matsumoto will pass him. So that means it'll be a double podium position for Ligier. And Matsumoto goes up into 4th. So that is massive for Ligier, and only 4 runners remaining, which is definitely the highest attrition we've seen all season, and I'm quite surprised actually. But well, I don't know if it's a good surprise or a bad surprise. Some teams will definitely think it's a bad surprise, but some others like Ligier and Lotus will be very pleased with some of the outcomes here today. And Senna now on to his last lap. Last time he'll go through Curva Grande and then into Variante della Roggia. Oh, and now, no way, transmission issue for Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna will drop out of the race in the last lap, and that means, I think, yes, it will almost certainly mean that Hoshino will grab the victory here today, and Mika Hakkinen in the 2nd place, so a 1-2 for Ligier. It's going to be massive for their championship. And actually see how it's going to be classified, but I think since these guys weren't on lap 51 yet, Hoshino will now start the last lap officially. Even though Senna has already started it, so he'll come across the line to start lap 51, and yes, I'm sure all of the remaining cars will still pass Ayrton Senna. So Ligier here heading for a 1-2, and I don't want to speak too early because it's, well, it's been a race full of surprises. But only 3 runners remaining here at the end of the race, and that's, well, quite incredible. No one could have predicted that. But Hoshino now officially goes into the lead as he heads through the first chicane, and then through, or the second chicane, and then Lesmo, and then he'll head through Curva del Seraglio. And now Mika Hakkinen goes up into 2nd place, and what a fairy tale story here for Ligier today. And well, a good finish in the end for the Minardi squad. But Hoshino now heading down Rettifiglio Centro one last time, braking into Parabolica, getting back on throttle in this long winding right-hander, and heads on to the start-finish straight to take victory for Ligier, their 2nd victory of the season, and it'll be a 1-2 at that. So this is massive for Ligier.
Fantastic drive. Great
And
job.
well, Hoshino did everything right here today, together with Mika Hakkinen, as Hakkinen now comes through Parabolica. And we were talking about it earlier, didn't pick up too many points here today, but it'll be his best finish of his F1 career so far. And Mika Hakkinen finishes in second position. One to watch for sure. Keiji Matsumoto not too far behind in third. But yeah, what an incredible story here for Ligier. And a lot of drama for all the other teams, including Ferrari, McLaren, Lotus. Yeah, Lotus just has issues with that car reliability. They do have the pace, but that reliability just isn't there to really capitalize. And wow, what an incredible race. As we'll now head to the full race results. So we have Hoshino in the Ligier finishing first. Incredible with Mika Hakkinen second. Then comes Keiji Matsumoto in the Minardi in third. Senna dropped out on the last lap with an engine issue. PK 3 laps down, also towards the end. Had to drop out with an issue. Then comes the march of Eddie Cheever. So March still picking up a point, but also engine issues. Then 7th, Eddie Irvine, which is very respectable for the Williams. Also an engine issue. Jerry Boutsen, unfortunately, was running in the points for a long time with will drop out with a transmission issue. Fittipaldi for Ferrari with a throttle issue, unfortunately didn't make it back to the pits. Rennie Arnoux for Benetton with a DNF. Then comes Satoru Nakajima with a loose wheel, so maybe a bit of a mistake that Lotus has to look at towards the pit squad. And then Alan Sir Jr. with a puncture, unfortunately. A DNF for the second March car, or the first one technically. Tyrrell with an engine issue, Arrows with a puncture, Minardi with a transmission issue in 16th for Mario Andretti. Then Teo Fabi, also an issue with electrics for Teo Fabi, yeah. And then 5 DNFs at the back with Roberto Marino, Dennis Sullivan, Jeff Lees, Alain Prost, and Bernd Schneider. So the big two, McLaren and Ferrari, scoring no points here today, and they get a lot of points for our best of the rest teams and some of the midfield teams. Yeah, very exciting race, and after Monza here, we have another big upgrade round coming, and well, with some surprise results, that'll mean a lot more funds for some of the lower ranked teams, and maybe they have a chance to put up a good fight towards the end of the season here with some of the top runners. But it's been very exciting, and I hope to see you in the next race. Goodbye.